The Mongols were one of the deadliest groups in the history of humanity. During their rise to power, they performed some of the most horrific acts of violence, resulting in the deaths of tens of millions of people. As the Mongol Empire grew, so did their appetite for battle and bloodshed. The vast, sprawling empire eventually stretched from the Pacific Ocean all the way to Eastern Europe, a feat which had never been accomplished before. But with such an enormous empire came an even more enormous amount of people who were affected by the Mongols. For some, the Mongols were liberators who freed them from tyranny. But for many others, the Mongols were agents of death and destruction who slaughtered anyone who stood in their way. If the Middle Ages had a face of death, it was the face of the Mongols. In the 13th century, under the banner of Genghis Khan, a nomadic people from the steppes of Mongolia unleashed a storm of conquest the world had never seen before. Their armies moved like shadows across the land, swift, disciplined, and utterly merciless. When the Mongols descended upon a city, the result was often the same: fire, blood, and silence. Towns that resisted were wiped from existence. Populations were slaughtered or enslaved. The devastation was so absolute that survivors told tales of entire rivers running red with blood. One of the most infamous massacres came in 1221, when the city of Nishapur in Persia fell. After the death of Genghis Khan's son-in-law, the Mongols sought vengeance. It is said that nearly the entire population, more than 150,000 people, was executed. The streets became graveyards, and the once great city was reduced to ash. And yet this was only a fraction of the death they brought. Across Asia and into Europe, the Mongols left a trail of destruction that historians estimate claimed 40 to 60 million lives. Entire kingdoms fell, dynasties crumbled, and ancient cities vanished beneath their wrath. But the Mongols were not merely killers, they were conquerors with a purpose. Their empire stretched from China to Eastern Europe, connecting East and West in a way the world had never known. They spread terror, yes, but also trade, culture, and technology along the Silk Road. To the medieval mind, however, they were not men at all. They were a scourge sent by God, the very horsemen of the apocalypse made flesh. And for those who faced their armies, survival was not a likelihood, it was a miracle. Genghis Khan is one of the most feared leaders in human history, a title he shares with other powerful conquerors such as Alexander the Great and Napoleon Bonaparte. During his lifetime, he united the tribes of the Mongolian steppe into one powerful force and went on to build the largest contiguous land empire in history. His Mongol armies killed millions of people across Asia and Eastern Europe. But what was it about these nomadic horsemen that inspired such fear? What made them so effective in battle, and why did they slaughter so many people? This is the story of the Mongols, the deadliest group in history. There are few places on earth as harsh and unforgiving as the Mongolian steppe. The landscape is characterized by endless plains, extreme temperatures, and a scarcity of resources. This makes it an inhospitable place to live, but it also makes it a great place to raise horses. Horses are the lifeblood of the Mongols. They provide them with a means of transportation, a source of food, and a weapon of war. The Mongol Empire would not have been possible without the horse. The Mongols are a nomadic people who travel from place to place with their herds of animals. They live in yurts, which are portable dwellings that can be easily packed up and moved. Mongol society is highly mobile, and this mobility allows them to adapt to the changing seasons and to take advantage of new opportunities. The Mongols are also a highly egalitarian society. There is no formal social hierarchy, and all members of the community are considered equal. This egalitarianism extends even to women, who enjoy a great deal of freedom and autonomy. Women can own property, participate in trade, and even divorce their husbands. Mongol women also fought alongside men in battle. In order to survive on the harsh Mongolian steppe, the Mongols must be self-sufficient and resourceful. They rely on their herds of animals for food, clothing, and shelter, and they are skilled hunters and gatherers. Mongols are also expert horsemen and archers. From the time they are very young, Mongol children are trained in the art of horsemanship and archery. This makes them formidable fighters, and it also gives them a significant advantage in warfare. The Mongols are a highly martial society. Warfare is a fact of life, and every Mongol is expected to be able to defend himself or herself in combat. Mongol armies are composed of highly skilled and disciplined fighters. They are experts in the use of bows and arrows, and they are also very familiar with hand-to-hand combat. The Mongols are also very innovative in their use of military tactics. They are known for their use of psychological warfare, as well as their ability to adapt to different situations. All of these factors combined make the Mongols a very dangerous enemy. When Genghis Khan took power in the early 1200s, He set out to unite the various Mongol tribes under his banner. He was successful in doing so, and he went on to create the largest land empire in history. Under Genghis Khan's leadership, the Mongols were able to conquer vast amounts of territory. They were able to do this because of the Mongols' skills as horsemen and archers, their egalitarian society, and their martial culture. Genghis Khan was a brilliant military strategist, and he was able to use his knowledge to great effect on the battlefield. He was also a master of logistics, and he was able to keep his armies supplied with the resources they needed to fight. As a result of these factors, the Mongols were able to conquer vast amounts of territory very quickly. One of the key factors in the Mongols' success was their use of psychological warfare. The Mongols would often terrorize their enemies before a battle even took place. They would send messages to the leaders of the cities they were about to attack, threatening them with torture and death if they did not surrender. The Mongols were known for their brutality and their willingness to use torture on their enemies. This often caused the cities to surrender without a fight. When the Mongols did engage in battle, they were often victorious. Their skill in archery and horsemanship gave them a significant advantage over their enemies. The Mongols were also very innovative in their use of tactics. They would often use feints and decoys to trick their enemies. They were also very familiar with the terrain of the areas they were fighting in, which gave them another advantage. The Mongol Empire reached its greatest extent under the rule of Genghis Khan's grandson, Kublai Khan. At its greatest, the empire stretched from the Pacific Ocean to Eastern Europe. The Mongol Empire was a vast and diverse one. It included a wide variety of cultures and peoples. Despite this diversity, the Mongols were able to maintain control over their empire through their efficient use of the military and their ability to adapt to different cultures. The Mongol military was highly efficient. It was composed of highly skilled and disciplined fighters who were experts in the use of bows and arrows. The Mongols also used a variety of siege weapons to capture cities. In addition to their military strength, the Mongols were also able to adapt to different cultures. They were able to do this because of their egalitarian society. The Mongols were able to integrate people of different cultures into their army and government. This helped them to maintain control over their vast empire. But the success of the Mongols did not last forever. In the 1300s, the empire began to decline. One of the reasons for the decline was the death of Kublai Khan. Under his successors, the empire became increasingly fragmented. In addition, the Mongols were unable to adapt to the changes that were taking place in the world. As new technologies developed, the Mongols were slow to adopt them. This made them less competitive and ultimately led to the decline of their empire. The Mongols were a fascinating and complex people. They were a nomadic tribe that lived on the harsh Mongolian steppe. They were able to conquer vast amounts of territory through their skills as horsemen and archers, their egalitarian society, and their martial culture. Although their empire eventually declined, the Mongols left a lasting legacy on the world. They were one of the most feared and ruthless groups in history, but they were also one of the most successful. I think you've earned it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time.